Well, thank you for joining, especially people calling from Asia, 2 a.m. It's incredible. I think we can start with this seminar, introductory seminar to the new MA in luxury business that Sotheby's Institute of Art is organizing and planning starting from next spring. One second. Okay. I'm Federica Carlotto. I'm the program director of the Master in Luxury Business. You have here my, all my contacts. I've been working at Sotheby's to deliver programs that are focused on luxury. So I've been running a semester program, The Art of Luxury. And prior to that, I've been teaching in the field of luxury brand management with a focus on sociological and anthropological issues in luxury. And just to give you an idea on what we will be covering today, we will start by kind of having an overview on the luxury industry. And then we will tap into the master and we will see about the structure, its contents. Then I have a special guest to introduce you to, and this is Serena Gossain, who is a faculty within the master in the field of branding and marketing, who will be providing you with sort of close up on the daily activities within the master. And then Marina, we will, our admission officer, we will cover some requirements for admission to this program. And of course, there will be plenty of time for any questions you have for us. Let me start by giving you an overview on the luxury industry. And I would like to direct your attention to the term disruptive, because this is something that you wouldn't have associated with luxury at all a few years ago. Because as we know, luxury, or the image of luxury, the conventional image of luxury, is somehow related to something that is exclusive, is expensive. You can see in the picture here, you have Mila Kunis with a fancy, getting off the car with a fancy Dior bag. We have this idea of objects that are extremely expensive, just like the jewelry of Cartier, rather than the watch, a watch of Rolex, Ferrari. We have iconic brands such as Chanel, iconic products such as the Hermes Birkin bag. We have iconic colors as well, the robin egg blue of Tiffany, for instance. But this is pretty much the image of luxury that we are used to, and still is something that is real today, nowadays as well. But society is changing as well. And we know that now we are dealing with things that are not exactly luxurious in the conventional sense of the term. We are dealing with discrimination, gender discrimination, racial discrimination. We are dealing with environmental problems. We are dealing with a pandemic. We're still, hopefully we are almost over, but these actually questions a lot of our action on the environment, and also about our responsibility as a society. And then we have our relationship with technology, that it has been evolving so much that now we're talking about the metaverse, we're talking about alternative realities. We are developing our own identities, as avatars in a way. So it's a world that is extremely complex. It's a world that, in a way, even the luxury industry cannot ignore anymore. And so when we talk about luxury today, the main thing is that it's a concept that is wider and deeper than just the bling, than just the exclusivity and precious objects. Of course, we still have brands, but we need to consider other aspects as well. Companies are investing, for instance, in other companies that have something to say. One example here, you have in the picture this hoodie This is a hoodie by Mad Happy, which is a startup in the US. And this startup is really involved into mental health. And this is a company that actually got funded by the LVMH investment division. So even luxury is very attentive to new ideas and ideas that can be valuable. Luxury companies are also involved in, in contributing to society. You see in this picture is black and white. I think it's quite a romantic picture, but these are the Tuileries Gardens, and Dior will collaborate with the Louvre to to the upkeep of this garden, which is very much symbolic of Paris. So brands are engaging into cultural projects. They are more and more looking for projects to sponsor and to be an active part of society. And this is why we talk about disruption, because together with the old values or the traditional values of luxury, we have also new values now to consider and to embrace. And so you see here diversity and inclusivity, sustainability for sure, and then engaging with the public in a different way. And so, you know, when we talk about companies working within the society and developing their social leadership, just to give you a few examples, Hermes experimenting with alternative materials to leather, such as the one derivated by fungi, or Burberry trying to improve in a sustainable way the cashmere production. I find this image of Rolls-Royce, Rolls-Royce quite fascinating, because Rolls-Royce is the aristocracy somehow of the car industry. As you can see here, they have their first electric vehicle out. So, you know, you can see the plug. So I find this image particularly fascinating on, you know, the merging of the two sets of values together. And then we have an island. This is the Brando, where you have a resort that is completely sustainable, and somehow they look at biodiversity. So it's not just about being sustainable, but it's actually about having a positive impact on the biodiversity of the flora and the fauna there. And then in terms of engagement, the engagement with the public and the audiences now, it's all about being creative in, especially in the, let's say, the internet space or the virtual space. And so we have here other examples as well. Balenciaga delivering their autumn-winter collection online through a sort of video game. I don't know if you tried, guys. I tried. I chose my avatar and I could walk in this kind of virtual store and have a look at the collection. Net-a-Porter creating a virtual island for the game Animal Crossing. And then Louis, the game that was released very recently for the 200th anniversary from the birth of Louis Vuitton. And in the game, actually, it was, of course, an interactive experience where at a certain point you could also collect NFTs. I didn't get to the point. I entered the video game. I didn't get to that point, but it was quite an interesting experience. Collaboration with the arts, that's another big one. Because everybody thinks about, well, luxury collaborating with the art world. We're talking about Louis Vuitton and Jeff Koons. Well, that was the beginning. Now, companies are exploring and expanding the same, idea of art now includes music. So a few examples here as well. Dom Perignon working with Lady Gaga, or Fendi working with Nicki Minaj. Very recently, of course, Tiffany's with Beyonce and Jay-Z. So the music industry is pretty much present there. Football as well. If I remember correctly, Dior is just working with Paris Saint-Germain as well. Getting back to arts, another aspect is the intellectual arts, such as poetry. I'm thinking about Amanda Gorman, poet and activist who signed an agreement with a famous model agency and then appeared on the Vogue magazine as well. But then I'm thinking about creative directors as well. We see now more and more creative directors being polymaths. So rather than just thinking about designing fashion collection, they actually engage actively with other sectors and even across, across tiers. So it's not just about luxury. And here we have an example of Virgil Abloh working for both, Mercedes and then IKEA. So all in all, luxury is an attractive industry to engage with because first of all, if you see from the 90s, maybe some of you weren't born in the 90s, but from the 90s onwards, there has been a constant increase. Of course, there were some, some difficult moments, 2008 and 2009 with the credit crunch. And then, as we well know, 2019 to 2020 because of the pandemic. But then, having said that, the industry has proved its resilience because, we are getting back to normal and, companies were able to survive, which means that the industry is somehow is resilient, is safe. But also looking at tomorrow, I think it's quite intriguing to think about what will be of the luxury industry tomorrow. And I want to borrow something from a quote from the luxury analyst and Bain & Co. And they say that by 2030, we will not be talking about the luxury industry anymore. We will be talking about the market for insurgent cultural and creative excellence, which I think is really interesting because then this means that also the people who will work in the industry will necessarily need to have different skills from the ones that are required now. One skill for all is cultural intelligence, which means having an in-depth understanding of luxury, of course, as an industry, of course, as a business, but also as a concept. If we don't understand what luxury means for us, what luxury means for, I don't know, our market or the market we want to tap into, there is no way we are going to get the message across to the market. On the other hand, well, on top of it, another skill is definitely the appreciation of crossover initiatives with other sectors. As we saw before, it's not enough to be able to sell one object or one service. We need to be able to create an aura around it. And this is why then you look out for singers, you look out for new projects, you look out for, new ways of communicating, you look out to develop suitable technology for the right communication and so on. So, future leaders will need to think outside the box. It's not just that, but also to understand how to be able to communicate that idea of luxury, using or making use of the knowledge coming from different sectors as well. And this is why we are launching this program, the IMA Luxury Business. So the idea is, of course, to give you guys the skills, the intellectual and practical skills, first of all, to understand the complexity of luxury. Luxury is not about high price anymore. So we need to understand what these complexities are. Then we also need to understand how the industry is changing and being able to leverage these kind of disruptions in order to generate value, extreme value, of course. And finally, as I said before, it will be more and more important to explore possible synergies with other creative and cultural industries. And of course, I stress the art world because Sotheby's focus in a way is the art world. And so in terms of the program structure, the program will last 1 year, starting in January 2022. There are 3 core units. And these are luxury in context, the luxury market, and managing a luxury business. So the luxury in context look at luxury in the past, in different markets, in different cultures. Of course, it's not just the Western conception or idea of luxury. We will have also people talking about China, talking about Africa, talking about a different cultural context. And also there will be a part of this unit dedicated to, how do you research about luxury? It is about data, it is about, because if you want to understand what luxury means for a certain market or in a specific situation, you need to be able, of course, to do your research. Then we will have a second unit, and that will be about the luxury market. And so the idea is to start understanding the current market from consumer behavior, and then, of course, see how brands communicate with that through branding and omnichannel marketing. Then I have the third compulsory unit, and this is managing a luxury business, where it's pretty much management hardcore, if you want. It's strategy, finance, law, with the addition of sustainability. Sustainability is not a trend. It's not something cosmetic that we add. It's something that really needs to work together with strategy, together with finance, together with law, together with HR or talent management, and so on. And then we will have a session dedicated to the professional development, looking at your future and looking at you as potential, let's say, professional in the industry. Then there are 2 electives that you can choose. And in general, you choose also from a pool of electives that are art related. And some of them are pretty interesting, because I know that there will be electives about NFTs or electives about, art and technology. And again, these are all aspects that will be very helpful, again, if you're going to work in the luxury industry. And I just want to point it out, I'm pitching my own elective because I will be delivering one, and this will be on art and luxury. So if you're still interested in luxury, you want another module on luxury, we will be exploring the relationship between art and luxury. So a very interesting angle to take. And then you will have as a final project either the possibility to choose from either a dissertation or a practice-based dissertation. So dissertation is more theoretical if you have a topic that you want to explore particularly, or if you have a business idea, if you want to do something more applied to the business sector, you also get the opportunity, of course, to engage with a practice-based dissertation. So what are the features of the program? First of all, as you probably could see from what I said before, is not just about brand management. It's not a luxury brand management course. This is a program that takes a step back and starts asking, well, what is luxury first? So there are cultural elements that are really important to consider. And my former students at the Art of Luxury know that very well. And then we have also, a focus on customer, it's customer centricity. So we put a focus on people. After all, your customer will buy your product or will use your service if they think it's luxury. There is no way, they will do otherwise. And so this is why we stress about, the concept of consumer behavior. And we will have some session as well about design thinking and experience design. We will have some consultants coming in on that. And as I said before, very important, sustainability and inclusivity. Again, the luxury industry traditionally, historically, is a Western phenomenon, but this doesn't mean that there are not any other markets. In fact, there are markets that are becoming very, very cool and interesting to analyze. And this is why we need to be very much wide open to that. Another feature of the program is definitely the contribution from specialists from different sectors and in different capacities. There is no better way to learn than to learn from the experts, right? And so this is why the program is structured in a way that you get the right amount of, let's say, general and basic knowledge that is very important. These are the foundation of your knowledge, and these this is delivered by, academics such as myself, but you will get also to meet with practitioners and guest speakers from the industry. And here you have a list of all the different experts that will be on the program. So business consultants, retail and brand managers, and then we will have people from the press, but also, in the arts sector, we will have contribution from art specialists, trend analysts, and so on, and even entrepreneurs, because I think it's important if somebody wants to become an entrepreneur to have also, some contact with other entrepreneurs as well. Another aspect that is very important is the connection with Sotheby. We are the educational partner of Sotheby, the auction house, and this is very important for us because, of course, we are connected with them, and we are privileged because we somehow get access to their knowledge as well. But also this means that we can also synergize with other high-end creative industries at large, such as art. And this is also an interesting quote that I wanted to bring to your attention. This is from Tom Bettridge, the editor-in-chief of High Snobiety, who sees the future of brands as content creator to be looking a lot more like what museums do than what bloggers do. What does it mean? It means that it's not just about marketing, it is about, giving content that makes sense, that resonates with the audience and the public. So again, the relationship with the art can actually stimulate that aspect as well. And then, of course, the first-hand and behind-the-scene experience. So it's not just about listening, it is also about doing and practicing. This is why the course is filled with opportunity to work together, to follow seminars. I'm particularly fond of case study works because it's a great way to work in team and also to exchange opinions with your course leader. And then the juicy part, site visits, really important, and field trips to Italy and Paris. And fingers crossed that the situation with COVID improves more and more so that we can be out and about, because this is also something that is very important. We are based in London. London is a great city, and I think there is also no better way to learn that by walking in London and entering workshops, entering stores, and the same applies to Italy and Paris as well. What are the highlights for spring? Of course, each year is different in the sense that, there are returning guest speakers or returning brands, but just to highlight what will happen basically from January, definitely a visit to Aston Martin, a visit to Claridge's and the Connaught Hotel. They have an impressive old art collection as well. So hotellerie plus art. Of course, Sotheby's, the auction house. We will have also somebody from Farfetch. We will be visiting Louis Vuitton in Paris, and then Dom Perignon as well. So champagne tasting, which is very important. And then in London, talking about fine food and high-end spirit. Of course, it's Fortune and Mason, which is a traditional store, 300 plus years old in Piccadilly. And in terms of speakers, this is just, it's not even a complete list. This is just to give you a taste of the people you will meet in the course. So Vanessa Jacobs, she's the CEO of the Restory. This is an aftercare, is a luxury items aftercare service which recently she has been, well, the company has been collaborating with Selfridges, and they recently closed a deal with Manolo Blahnik as well. We will have our great Alessandro Borruso. Alessandro Borruso is Deputy Director of Sotheby's Diamond. He's a great, of course, he's an expert in diamonds and a great, great speaker. I'm sure that my former students would confirm that. If you can confirm that in the chat. We had a great session with him. And then we will have Dr. Flavia Frigeri, who is the Chanel Curator of Collection at the National Portrait Gallery. So she follows, you know, for Chanel, she follows some projects, you know, at the National Portrait Gallery. Among those projects, there is also something about female artists and female art. And then we have Richard Federowski, who is partner at Roland & Berger. This is a consulting company, and he has been involved in the basically it has been involved in the renovation of the commercial area, which also hosts the Louvre in Dubai. So very, very interesting. And then, of course, Ferrari, you see the symbol here. This is part of our trip, you know, to Italy as well. So we will be visiting Ferrari as well. And in terms of knowledge, of course, there is the in-depth knowledge and a critical understanding of the luxury industry, because we said it's very, very relevant and important. So yes, understanding of the markets, the customers, the new consumption niche, new markets, but also how can we exploit that to produce new business models and new value propositions. Then we have the tools and models in the different areas that we will touching upon, such as marketing and branding, strategy and analysis, user design, project management, sustainability. And then last but not least, I would say the soft skills. And I would just like to focus on the first one, networking and professional attitude, which is fundamental, you know, to enter the industry. And this program, the people who are joining this program as guest speakers are usually people who really want to share with you guys and really don't mind sharing with you their email address or their contacts in case you are interested to, you know, to understand their position further as well. So this is also an environment that helps you kind of get used to networking and get used to know people professionally, and which is very helpful for your career anyway. And in terms of career, after 1 year, what you will be looking at? Well, you could go corporate, you know, joining luxury companies. You could actually start your own venture, but also thanks to this connection with the arts, you could start looking at agencies or cultural and art institutions as well. So if you look at the third, you have a list of all the different, you know, areas you could be touching upon, but also I would like to point out the third in the list, where you have arts and culture special projects. Again, companies are very, very much fond of engaging with the arts. So if you look, for instance, at the job advertisement from Ruinart or Chanel as well, you will always see there are positions now within the special projects departments. This means working for the brand in order to somehow liaise with other, you know, artistic or creative industry, and you know, and produce you know, some, as they say, special projects for them. This is all, you know, from me. I have now you know, we have now our special guest, Serena Gossain, whom I see now connected. Hi, Serena.
Hi, Federica. How are you? Good evening.
How are you? All good?
Fine, thank you. How are you? How is everyone?
You know, there are people connecting from all over the world.
That's amazing.
Isn't that amazing?
That's amazing. Seoul.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
And well, Serena is faculty on the program, and actually she leads I think one of the most important parts of the program, and that is branding and marketing. And so, I called here Serena tonight just to give you an understanding on how, for instance, one module could run, or one area of this master could run. Over to you, Serena.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, a pleasure to be here, and welcome to all of you. And I hope you are getting a flavor of the MA, which we're very excited about. And I'm very, happy to be involved and honored to be involved again. So about the branding module, particularly, because branding has to be probably one of the most important facets of a luxury brand in its strategy, and it has to adapt. And then from that, marketing emanates from that. So the luxury brand is a really essential piece of the puzzle. If you get it right, you can, really create authentic experiences. So through, for example, for a taster of the module on branding, we'll be looking at how brands are adapting to the new normal. We're now in a sort of post-pandemic world, and how they've had to really rapidly change and, think about the trends that are going on, how the feeling is in the sort of in the consumer base, really, and react quickly. And we saw them doing a lot of that. But we'll also look at the very practical side of planning, for example, the models that are used in industry and in academia to sort of plot out how a brand can be created. So we will look at the theories and frameworks that fit with that. So these are not normal branding models. They're the ones that go specifically to luxury. So it's a bit different. And that's what I've always found quite fascinating in this area, because it's branding, but it's upside down, because it's not your standard, okay, let's come up with a very snappy name and let's come up with a tagline and let's position it over here and it's in competition with this brand. It actually is very different to that, because we try and create the brand in a dream world, and it sort of exists in a very different way. So that's what's quite fascinating about it. I think that's what Federica and we both enjoy, that side of it. It's very, very interesting. And, talking about the evolving, looking at branding models, are they still relevant? We will be critiquing those. You might be able to identify gaps in some of the theories and models. So there's an academic component, but we very much bring it into the present day and look at current cases and see what's going on and try and decode what they're trying to do strategically. And of course, thinking about key trends that are going on. So it sounds terrible to say it's a trend, but it's, sustainability is a big thing right now, and brands are really feeling the pressure that they must step up and react, because that's what the consumer is looking for. Because having lived through COVID, people are now really recalibrating the way they, think about luxury. It's not so much about products. It might be more about experiences, and they want to know the provenance. They want to know where this product or service is it causing harm or damage to the environment or to people. So they're very much more aware. So we look at lots of different aspects to do with building the brand and being a reactive brand, and the challenges that come with that. But the opportunities as well are great. So it's very much, look at that and get you guys to critique it as well and observe a lot. Keep up to date with industry news. So often we'll look at things that are very current. The content is forever changing. It's never a repeat of, the year before. It's always changing. So I hope that gives you a bit of a flavor, but it's also fairly creative, because of course in the luxury world you have to be creative to keep up, and you have to look at ways to remain fresh and appealing to newer audiences and different audiences, different segments. So there's plenty to discuss, and I look forward to joining some of you, I hope. So please, consider it. And thank you.
Thank you, Serena. Thank you very much. Okay, I think now Marina is ready to give some practical information, I guess.
Sure, of course. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. My name is Marina. I'm an admissions officer at Sotheby's Institute of Art. So if you would like to join us for the Spring 22 term, that's the one that begins in this upcoming January, our final deadline to apply will be November 29th. The online application and a full list of requirements can be found on our website. It's at sothebysinstitute.com. But just to give a quick overview, you're going to need the following documents to apply. So first is your academic transcripts or your mark sheets from all of your undergraduate or post-secondary academic institutions that you've attended. You'll need 2 letters of reference. These can either come from an academic or professional contact. You'll need a personal statement that tells us a little bit about yourself, your reasons for joining the luxury business program, and any relevant academic or professional experience, as well as your future career goals. You'll need a 1,000-word writing sample. You can choose from a graded paper if you've taken like an art history class, an art class, or a luxury course. Or if you don't have a graded paper, you can also choose to submit an original essay or a mock review written essentially for an art publication or a website. You'll need a copy of your CV or a resume. If you are a non-native English speaker, you will need an English language proficiency exam, such as the TOEFL or IELTS, and then finally the application fee. So as you've heard today, there are definitely a lot of exciting reasons to join us in spring. It's an inaugural class, and there's a lot of really great trips and guest speakers planned. From an admission standpoint, if you decide to apply for Spring 22, you'll also be considered for the highest scholarship awards that we have. Our scholarships are based on a combination of need and merit, and the application is only open if you receive an offer of admission to the program. So you need to apply first, and then we can send you a scholarship information. If you're looking to apply a little bit later, we will be offering the luxury business program in fall 22 as well. Our application for fall is actually launching tomorrow. That's September 24th. And our final deadline to apply will be in May. So that's all I have on the admissions requirements. I think with that, we can move into our Q&A session.
Okay. We have, yes.
Great. So if you have any questions about the program, about what you've heard today, admissions requirements, please feel free to either type it in the Q&A or the chat box, and we'll get to as many as we can. Okay, we have a couple of application questions, so I can take those. The application fee is £100. We have a question on how do you help your students find housing? So our student services department is really great at providing a variety of resources to help you find housing in London and things that fit your budget. And this is a thing like we partner with several institutions that will give you a list of different agencies you can go through and things like that. Obviously, it is difficult to find housing, so we help you as much as we can. What happens if a school is closed down, you can't find transcripts? I would recommend reaching out to our admissions office and they'll be able to help you out with that question. And then is 22 the very first launch of the MA program?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So it's, but we have been running a semester program prior to that. So this one is, of course, a sort of big brother compared to the other, because of course it's, you know, it's academically sound, it's like it stretches in 1 year, but yes, it's the first.
Great. And so the program is 1 year. When is the expected graduation date if you were to enroll in January 22? Federica, do you want to grab that one?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. So you will be finishing basically, I think, in December, because then you have the dissertation and that will start, I think, already in August. So give it, you know, 3 months for the dissertation.
Great. Is the program designed for working adults already working in the luxury goods field?
Okay, the program is full-time though. So you need to take that into account. Of course, you know, we are quite open in terms of the discipline. You can come and you can have, of course, experience, even better, but you have to take into account it's a full, you know, it's a full-time program. So if you are working, you know, you need to work out in a way the situation because yes, it's full-time. And also, and I think this replies also, I see a question about can we have jobs during the course? Again, it's a full-time course. So we will be meeting, you know, face-to-face for classes 3 days per week. But the other 2 days, of course, it's quite intensive as a course. So the other 2 days are meant for you to study, do research, or, meet with your peers for work groups. So I'm not saying, you cannot have any job or any other activity, but again, you have to consider that as well. And then maybe Marina, can you elaborate more about sample topics of the 1,000-word essay?
Sure. So there are 2 different essays that you submit as part of this application. So the first is your personal statement, and that's where you really just talk about your motivations for joining the program, how you think it'll help you in your future career goals, some of your past experience, and so on. The second is a writing sample. So as I mentioned, you can either do a graded paper if you've taken like an art history class or something art or lecture related, and you can submit that paper to us as the writing sample. Otherwise, you're more than welcome to write your own sort of original essay. And this can be something like a mock review of an exhibit you've attended or a research paper. The topic is pretty broad, so it is up to you. Okay, does this program plan to be continue to be offered? Yes, so as I mentioned, Spring 22 is going to be our first term. After that, it'll be offered in Fall 22, Fall 23, and continuing on.
And then I read, is the MA luxury program offered in another city such as New York or remotely? No, at the moment is in London. Again, it's important also when we talk about luxury to understand the relationship that luxury has with a specific place in a way. And so this is what we were missing during the pandemic, I guess. And so, yes, for now it's London. What kind of topics do you expect to cover in dissertation, for example? What kind of topics? Anything that somehow during the program you will probably encounter different topics as well. And Serena just gave you, a kind of flavor of all the different topics just for branding, right? So, the dissertation somehow should go deeper into one of those. So anything that sparks your interest is very important that you start from your interest, from original questions that you have. Or maybe you can apply something that, for instance, we see working for the American market, and you say, okay, I'm coming from Germany and I'm curious to see whether this could work for a German market rather than a Chinese market. So it is about building up on the knowledge that you already have. So in that respect, it's quite open, and it's personalized because, as I said, it needs to be something that works for you and that helps you as well. Why the program is not named as Luxury Brand Management MA? Just curious. Great question. I didn't want the brand management for one thing, that I think that brand management is one part while luxury business is wider. And because we wanted to have this approach to luxury whereby we understand that luxury is constantly changing and you need to understand how luxury is constantly changing and the business is actually changing with that. And so, the brand management is a part of all this, but it's not, the only part that we need to look at. So that's why we decided to give a title that reflects that, complexity.
We have a question in the Q&A. Do the luxury classes include luxury real estate?
Luxury real estate. I mean, not specifically, in the sense that we might touch upon that, especially when we talk about retail, especially like in terms of physical building. We will talk about yachts as well. I don't see why not, but it will be through another angle, probably not specific, but why not? Because actually Sotheby has a real estate division. So actually that's something that I could develop. So thank you for the tip. Can you remind of the program's accreditation? The accreditation is from Manchester University. So all of our programs are validated by Manchester University, which means that we comply with their educational quality system and criteria. And this is great because this means that you are sure that you get the education of basically it's an Ivy League institutions in the UK, while at the same time having the name and the brand of Sotheby's Institute. Kernil, you wrote, can we switch from the London? What does it mean? Can you type, can you explain to us?
I can take the question above that in the meantime. How many students are we admitting for this MA? So we don't have a number of students that we're admitting. We don't really, so, if you're interested in applying, I would recommend in applying as soon as possible so you meet that deadline.
I'm also considering MBA luxury in France, like a SEC, HLC. What is Sotheby's advantages? Well, first of all, Sotheby's advantages definitely is the connection with the art world, as I said before. I think that this is great, as I said, because in a moment where we talk about creativity, in a moment where we talk about liaising with other industries, then you need also to understand what these other industries do. Art and luxury are definitely, coming together, but they're still quite different worlds, especially when it comes to business. So it's very important. It's very important for that reason. Sotheby's, of course, Sotheby's Institute is smaller than the institute you mentioned, but this means that, first of all, we get to know each other name by name, and also you get a very personal interaction with the speakers. They're not, as I said before, they're not coming to talk or to speak to you, they're coming to interact with you. So interaction is a great part of it. And also it's highly experiential in that respect, just because usually, we are not massive programs in general. And so we tend to kind of put emphasis on the individual and the group experience, where you can really liaise with your peers and then with the experts in the industry and so on. How a day in class will be structured. So, as I said, I'm thinking about 3 days, from 10 a.m. in the morning up to 3:24 p.m. with an hour lunch break. So it's about 4 hours per day. Usually, yes, you would have a mix of lectures, of seminars. Sometimes we have visits, so it's very dynamic from that perspective. Can students switch from the London compound to the New York compound during the course? No, because it's delivered in London, and so it's required that you actually stay in London in that respect. Any other question? Let me see. I think, Marina, there is one for you about which area do students usually accommodate in London?
It really depends, again, on your budget, whether you're looking to share a flat or not. A lot of students tend to live fairly close to campus. The London campus is very central. It's in Bedford Square, so it's a great area. There's a lot to do around. It's surrounded by museums and galleries and things like that. So a lot of students do choose to live sort of around that area, but again, it really depends on your budget. If you're sharing a flat and things like that.
This one is interesting. Will it be difficult for art history students to study a luxury MA? Not at all. You know, first of all, the people who join these programs are people coming from a variety of disciplines. You know, in the past, people studying luxury are coming from law, coming from literature, communication, interior design. And so I don't see why not art history. So we start from the understanding that you might not have experience in luxury, you know, professional experience, or you might not have studied business at all. So we try to embrace that variety, because you will for sure find yourself then maybe advantage in some areas, especially with art history. And then you will have, of course, to learn more on another area. But it's pretty much open. It's a discipline that is very welcoming in a way of diversity, also in terms of specialization. Yes, I think, are there any other questions? Well, Renato, you can go. If you got all your information, you can go, and thanks for joining. Do we have any other question?
I think there's
do you have any book recommendations? Oh, there we go. Do you have any book recommendations to read prior to starting the program?
Okay, one recommendation I can give is actually to start reading. Oh, okay. Serena has one handy. Well, this is the luxury strategy that, well, I think Serena uses in the course, but we generally use it. I call it the Bible because in a way it's the must read. But also in a very simple way, guys, if you're really passionate about the subject, get used to some sort of morning reading through Business of Fashion, through Jean Daily. You know, there are content that are free, very informative, and just get into the habit to have an understanding of what's going on in the industry day by day, because this helps a great deal when you have to come up with case studies, with examples. So this is a good habit, especially if if you're very interested in luxury and you want to work there. So this is my advice. Do you cover jewelry as luxury good in your program? Yes, we do that. As I said before, we have Alessandro Boruso from Sotheby's Diamonds. So yes, we covered that. And also I'm planning some retail visits in Paris in jewelry and with jewelry brands. So yes. Okay, I think if this is all. Well, I thank you very much for joining and for all your questions, great questions. Well, I hope to see some of you in London, maybe in spring. And I wish you a nice rest of your day, or a good night if you're going to sleep. And yes, and I hope to see you in London. Okay.